Okay, I'm gonna redo this, and hopefully my mind and my mouth can actually cooperate. I wrote a blog about the many events and disasters in history. What I'm gonna do with this blog, which I find interesting, by the way. This one is about the ill-fated Franklin expedition to discover the Northwest Passage. I mean, why would anyone, joking here, but why would anyone want to go to a cold, dreary place is beyond me. Yet here we are. I'm trying to be funny. I just don't like the winters in Illinois. I just can't imagine what it's like up there. They did it to discover and for science. So I totally respect that. There's a ship stuck in ice. These are images off Google search, so it's not like I could go up there and take pictures of the landscape or all that. And the ships are underwater anyway. The Greenland, you got the Northwest Passage, Baffin Island, Williams Island. Okay. I know, Kat. I'm watching you. I know you want to jump up here. There's one of the ships trapped in ice. Well, anyway, the British Royal Navy put together an expedition for 1845 to sail two ships, the HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, to try to discover the Northwest Passage way up in nowhere's land in northern Canada. To lead the expedition, they recruited John Franklin and James Fitzjames to command the Erebus and Francis R. Crozier to command the Terror. What a hell of a name for a ship, the Terror. Precursor to things to come, perhaps. I just got a really weird sense of humor, so you just kind of take it with a great grain of salt. All right, enough of my silly nonsense. Moving on, the ship became trapped in ice 1846 ish. And we know how ice sucks. Everyone on the planet knows how ice sucks. So, yeah, about that. They spent several years on the ships before starting the death march in 1848. There's several speculation that one part went back to the ships and one started heading to Back River and all that, but it's really hard telling. I know, like, Franklin died early on in 1847, and there was a few deaths prior in 1846 due to illness. That'll be brought up later with the graves. Crozier became first in command after Franklin passed, and they started heading south, I guess, going for the Back River or looking for hunting grounds where more game could be found. Either way, it didn't end well. What? You know, I'm recording a documentary, right? So, yeah, I'm probably here talking to myself, so don't mind me, Sean. Now, there's a note left at a cairn and a Victory Point, and they're heading south. Later added Franklin died in 1847, as well as some of the crew and officers. Over time, the people died of disease or starvation, and then some resorted to cannibalism. Some marks in the bones tested in 1990s indicated cut marks resulting from the cannibalism. Now, who all died and when, other than Franklin and those I mentioned earlier, is up in the air and can only be speculated. All I know is everyone eventually dead and was, Jesus. Can I talk or is my brain just going to continue farting? All I know is everyone was probably dead by the 1850s. That being that long would just be generous. I guess some of the natives reports or whatever said as late as 1851 they could have seen survivors. A few. But who knows? I gotta reread up on that. But besides, here's a Crozier, Franklin, and Fitzjames and the Victory Point note. That's John Franklin. Okay, John Franklin's wife pushed the Navy as well as raised several funds for several expeditions to find Franklin and survivors of evidence. I admire her persistence, but it failed to find any living, sadly. I'm trying to get through this without sounding like my brain has a total collapse. In the 1850s, the Victory Point note was found, and she found out her husband had passed. During expeditions, various stuff was found along the way, from canned items to skeletal remains and skulls. Rest in peace to everyone. John Franklin was born in April 1786 in Spilsby, Lincolnshire, England. I'm from the United States, so I have no idea where that's at. He fought in a few wars and was an explorer during several expeditions, including another failed expedition where he gained the name the man who ate his boots. Well, at least he didn't resort to cannibalism, so there's that. I mean, during the okay, brain and mouth don't want to cooperate again. Shocker. He married twice. The first died in 1825, I think, and then in 1828 he married Jane Griffin. Franklin died at June 11th, 1847, on King William Island. Has a few pictures of him, balding and kind of heavy set, but not that that's anything wrong with that. Just describing him. Yeah, he looks really serious in that one. Well, someone knew how to draw. There's an actual photo versus that drawing. Don't worry, Franklin. I don't look good coming out in pictures either. There's a Lady Jane Franklin. She's pretty, persistent, and probably just, I don't know, something unlike women of that time. Thank God, you need more people. Needed more women back then that would just be persistent and loyal and stubborn and okay, and now I'll try to get the rest through the rest of this without my mouth having diarrhea. Now we focus on the second in command, Fitzjames. James Fitzjames was born on July 27th, 1813, in London, and he was a British Royal Navy officer and explorer. After Franklin died, he became second in command after Crozier took over, all disappearing in April of 1848. Now, the recent news, September 2024, it was announced that his remains had been found and identified by DNA testing. Now, the sad part is his bones showed signs of cut marks on the jaw and other bones indicating he got cannibalized. So far, he's the highest ranking member to be found and identified. Below his picture in this drawing I did myself, as I'm somewhat of an artist. I'm used to more of a cartoonish comics, but I'm trying for realistic stuff too, so just forgive it if it ain't that, if I don't do any of them justice on my art. It's a coping skill for depression besides. There's Fitzjames. He's what, 30s when this happened? I don't think my drawing did him justice. That's fine, that's fine. Practice makes perfect. I tried to do a documentary of the expedition for YouTube, but between my whiskers, the cat hijacking the laptop, and my mind not cooperating with my mouth, messing up due to anxiety issues, that didn't turn out great. So here we are trying it again. Now back to the expedition and the poor men. Now we go under the captain of the HMS Terror, Francis R. Crozier. Francis was an Irish officer of the Royal Navy, an explorer, and that the list of expeditions and achievements are overlooked. He's personally my favorite because it's just more seems more smarter than it. Okay, that does not sound like it's going to come out well, but I wasn't meaning to insult the others. I'm just saying. He had expeditions from the Arctic and Antarctica, more experience than Franklin had. He was recruited as the captain in 1845 of the Terror, and Erebus and Terror drifted off and vanished into history. We all know where they wound up. The ships have been found, so he was born in Bangridge Bridge, Ireland, wherever that's at, in October of 1796 and vanished in April 1848. He nor Franklin has yet been found. There's a picture of him. I think that was taken like what 1845 of their cameras at the time. Younger version, I guess someone drew of him. And he's got a statue in his hometown. Okay. Now we're going to start coming into the gruesome stuff. Okay, now we start to come to the gruesome stuff. As if thinking about cannibal wasn't a horror enough, but you know. On Beechy Island, 3 graves of the Franklin expedition was found with headstones. A fourth body was there too, but it's of another expedition from another ship that had died there. The 3 Franklin bodies of John Torrington, who was a Royal Navy stoker, William Brain, Royal Marine Private, and a seaman, John Hartnell, were exhumed and tested for causes of death in 1984. A lot of speculation of lead in the canned foods caused it, but it's not the case, so it certainly didn't help matters. I'd say tuberculosis, pneumonia, scurvy, especially scurvy, played big roles. They had coffins fashioned and they're buried off Beechy Island shore. This was well before all the madness to come and starvation. I mean, I suppose they're the lucky ones, not having to endure a hypothermia, starvation, body parts getting gangrene for frostbite, and the cannibal stuff. They still need to be remembered as human beings, regardless of the brief or short of life. Torrington died in 1846, January. Brain died April 1846. Yeah, died in January 1846. 2 deaths in 1846 in January, huh? Evidently, illness was going on. Some off Google search and all that. Here's the pictures of the graves. There's one of the bodies, Torrington, I believe that is. I can't believe how long a curl still. I can't believe the hair is still there, the nose, the eyeballs. Damn. Here's another one. Yeah, I know. This is not a happy-go-lucky subject to talk about. Yeah, and then there's this guy, William Brain. Did he have red hair, or was just that something, or cloth, or looks like he had a beard, and can't believe how distinguished his nose is. Still, shit, has better teeth than I do. Here's some of the skulls from the. I can't think. I want to say it's King William Island, and a skeleton. I think the sources are at the bottom. That's off. I image search. I'm not gonna ever go up there, so there's no way I can photograph myself. Those bodies and skulls and bones have been found in many areas of King William Island, especially in Starvation Cove. Artifacts have survived in the museums and stuff still remain up scattered up around the land. Now, the HMS Erebus was the first one to sink over time, and also the first one to be rediscovered. Erebus was found in 2014 and has since been dived. I think the bell has been brought up, if I remember. The HMS Terror was found further south in 2016 and has also been dived. It's thought that people remanned it and sailed it for a little further till whatever happened. Who knows? Out of the two, the Terror is the best preserved. The captain's desk is in there. I wonder if there's logs or a diary in there, dishes, bottles. The wheel, I think, is still there, well preserved. It's still being dived and explored to this day. If they ever get the desk out and open it, I have doubts. I wonder what they'll find. Maybe it's for the best to leave some mystery to it. I would think Crozier would take anything important with him, diary or whatever. Who knows? I wonder what's in Franklin's desk or room over on the Erebus. I wonder if they stored his body in the ship or buried it out somewhere, or buried him at sea. Who knows? I guess it's fascinating to speculate. I can't imagine the horror, the cold, the isolation, and the pain they all went through. I hate our winters in Illinois and the U.S., but their environment was far worse than our random blizzard or the Arctic blast that can last a few weeks. It's nothing compared to crappy weather there. Here we can stock up before a storm and not just come out for the apartment for a few days on end, staying in warm. They couldn't. So I can't imagine how badly that sucked. As this last man standing, picture's so just lonely looking, and oh man, dead bodies and a lifeboat and a man. The track. Northwest Passage area, the uh, Baffin Island, and all that area where all they went and got found and where the ships were. Same with the here. Oh, now we discussed the huge elephant in the room, the cannibalism issue. I'm pretty conflicted on it, but I recognize in the last resort of desperation, survival mode kicks in, and if there's no food around, but nothing but dead bodies, you might as well if they're dead. I don't support killing to eat someone during a famine. it would still be murder. Someone dies of illness or condition, whatever illness, weather condition, starvation, then you might as well. If I was dying, I could just tell people after I die to just dig in. I'll be dead, what do I care? However, joking aside, I would want someone to come out alive. I get the desperation. Thank God no kids were around like the Donner Party that had to witness it or eat a relative. There's no right or wrong question to this, but the thought, just thinking what would a person do in their shoes and how they would react. There's no right or wrong answer. Well, as long as it ain't murder. I mean, I personally can't say I wouldn't because I would like to say I wouldn't, but I got a belly full and in a warm place. But in that environment and not having food for long periods of time, that's really hard to say. It's hard to answer. You don't know how you're going to react until something happens and you're in survival mode. Survival mode and the mental crap where laws and morality become less irrelevant. I want to say I know, but I wouldn't. But the truth is, I don't know. No one knows how they'll react unless faced with it. These poor men had no choice. If you stayed with the ships, you die. If you march south, you die. It's a no-win scenario that played out during that era of time. Now today, with computers, phones, Wi-Fi, plus Coast Guard rescue organizations, you wouldn't find a case like this. They're very unlikely to these days. Someone would come to your aid within a week or less, depending on ice. There are icebreaker ships and ice patrol these days to monitor ice. Thank the RMS Titanic disaster for that one. No disrespect for any of the loss of life on the Titanic, but who knows if the stuff would have existed if that hadn't hit the iceberg, sunk, and took a bunch of lives. Images are off Google search. Following the art I drew the captains. I will draw the ships one of these days. I hope I make them all proud. I'm used to drawing cartoonish characters and not trying to get too realistic into it, but I'm trying to get realistic. But yeah, I probably didn't do too good of a job, but oh well, practice makes perfect. There's the one, a Crozier, the drawing, and then the real guy. Yeah, so, I guess I did okay on it. Franklin, if it wasn't screwing up on drawing the hat, it would have been okay. This one, I didn't make him too fat. Like I did one, I really screwed up on Mrs. Fitzjames. I could have done a better job. It still could have been worse. This is all three of them. I can't imagine any of them smiling, but and then we get into it must be noted that there's an AMC show that depicted the Franklin expedition, loosely based on it, plus added stuff to it. The AMC Terror had good acting. It had Jared Harris and two actors from Game of Thrones, Nance and Edmund, I think. That was their characters there. It's called AMC Terror Season 1. It's 10 episodes. And in fact, there are it's still. Now, this is where the part I can't suddenly talk. The acting is top notch. I recommend people just giving that a try. Here's the Franklin versus the actor that I did that. The actor played Nance on Game of Thrones. There's Fitzjames with the counterpart. The actor's name's Tobias something. He played Edmund on Game of Thrones, a character they didn't really do much with in that show. There's the counterpart to Crozier with Jared Harris. He did a great job. We'll end this by saying let's remember them as heroes for paving a way for future ships to travel up that way plus explore. Rest in peace all.